Well, it looks like Gen Z finally effed around and they're finding out. Stick around, let's talk about it.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Rad, back with yet another video. And today this goes out to, goes out to everybody, but specifically what I'm going to be talking about today is a Texas thing. And I believe it's been around in some other states, but it's about to hit Gen Z and maybe even the younger ones regarding cell phones. So if you haven't heard about it, Texas just passed a law regarding the banning of cell phones for school students. Now, I'm not sure if it's for all ages, but I know it's for high school because Roth's in high school and he already knew about it. So let me read a little bit here from the newspaper. And yes, I still get a physical newspaper and read it. I'm Gen X. So it says here, see, that's why I like a newspaper. I like the sound of that. Texas schools brace for new cell phone restrictions. Texas public schools are gearing up for a significant shift in how student cell phone use is managed. As House Bill 1481 takes effect for the 2025-2026 school year, the newly signed legislation mandates that all school districts and open enrollment charter schools prohibit student use of personal communication devices during the school day while on school property. HB 1481 broadens the definition of personal communication devices to include cell phones, tablets, and smartwatches. It requires schools to establish clear disciplinary measures for violations, including potential device confiscation. While districts have the flexibility to implement an outright ban or require secure storage of devices such as in lockers or bins during school hours, district-owned technology devices remain permissible for student use. And so, and now I can see, take the readers off. So as I said, the districts do have a little bit of play, but here's the funny thing with Ross School, and I'm sure with a lot of the newer schools, which is what I have a major problem with. As you know, I've done videos before about when we went to school, and most of us, unless you were in major cities, we went to, our schools were made out of red brick on the outside, or brown brick, and painted cinder block walls on the inside, maybe 1-2 stories, and that's it. And we came out really good, right? These new schools, especially the school that Roth goes to, is the size of most, junior colleges. It's massive. And they built it about, 5 years ago, and they don't have lockers. Lockers don't exist in these new schools. So you can't put your phone in a locker. You're going to have to take it with you. Roth claims he's just going to leave his phone at home and do it the old school way, right? If I need to get a hold of them, I can call the school office and say I need to speak to my son. And that's the way that we grew up with it, right? I know it's real easy for us to poke fun. I know the opening was a little clickbaity because I guarantee you that if Gen X were at work in an office and your office created a policy saying your cell phones need to be locked away in your drawer, y'all would freak out. Unfortunately, everybody's addicted to it, and it's kind of one of those things that once Pandora's box is open, can you take it back? My thing goes out, I feel for the teachers, because if you've seen TikToks and you've seen videos, you see where teachers have tried to take Nintendo Switches away or whatever, and they get knocked out. Like these students are just flat out beating their teachers up. So it's going to be real interesting. I really hope that the school districts in Texas have geared up. They've got some extra police hired for the district police, and they have a real clear pathway as to what the rules are. Since his school doesn't have lockers, then are they going to have containment boxes? I've read some other articles in other papers, and I get the concern. You have some parents that say it's a good thing to get them off of their addiction for phones. But then during, especially in Texas, they always want to invoke the Uvalde thing that happened a few years back and say that if it wasn't for those kids with their cell phones being able to call 911, the cops would have never known about it. I get it. However, teachers have the cell phones, they're not taking those away, and there's still communication devices for the teachers. That's a whole nother story, right? There's a lot of different things that can be done about that, and that's the problem. I've, selling janitorial supplies for a living. I go to some schools where they still are the old cinder block walls. Nowadays, the schools are made with sheetrock and aluminum framing and no insulation on the interior walls. So what do you think can go through that sheetrock pretty easily? What do you think can't go through cinder block filled with concrete that easily? So, if you want to fix that, there's other ways to construct buildings to where you can actually make them safer, not just locks on the doors and metal detectors, but you can actually make the interior walls the way that you used to where that, certain stuff doesn't protrude through them as easily. So with that said, I've explained to Roth, especially since he's still in school, I'm amazed at how dumb kids are. I hate to say it that way. They use their phones for everything. Now with AI, they're not learning anything. Today, I'm sorry, salutatorians and valedictorians, it just doesn't mean that much anymore. Oh, my kid was valedictorian. Okay. How much did they actually retain? How much did they learn? Because it's so easy now, these kids. I mean, my oldest was telling me that he was cheating on stuff back when he was in school. What would that have been, I don't know, 20 years ago? I thought he was a genius, right? And then come to find out after he's an adult, he tells me, oh, I cheated on a lot of stuff. We couldn't get away with that. We had ways of trying to cheat. If anything, when I was in school, it was the kids trying to cheat off of my papers. Trying to explain to these Gen Z kids, hey, we took a test one time. If you failed it, that was it. That was your grade. You had an opportunity for extra credit, but they would even let you know, well, it's only going to be this much extra credit and it's still going to bring you below a 70. You would do it anyway. They're just amazed at, well, how did you do it? How did you make it through school? We learned it. We didn't just memorize it for the day. We had to learn it. There is a process of pulling an encyclopedia, going to the library, pulling a book, and doing your research. So I know I kind of digressed a bit, but it's going to be very interesting. I applaud it. I understand that there's going to be some, learning curves, and think, okay, well, we could do this a little bit better. I also, not just because kids are cheating with their phones and their smartwatches, by the way, just a reminder to go to the description box and check out my affiliate link for some really awesome watches at Freestyle Watches. Also, the shop for I like my ladies from the 80s with my Golden Girls on there. And then, of course, with totally rad candles that you see down here. Please check it out, support the channel. I appreciate it.
Okay? Do it. Do it.
So with that said, they're also filming fights all the time, right? So there's, I think it's World Star. There's all these different, fight places where people put up these fight videos. So one thing with the phone is they're able to pull it out. People like that instant, those instant clicks. They pop them up on social media. And so I don't think it's just a cheating thing. It's a matter of filming, maybe to cover their asses a little bit, to, take away some of the easily filming of fights breaking out and or, cops slamming people to the ground. I've seen some of those videos. Some of them deserved, others not. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. What do you think? And look at it from the perspective of, as an adult, right? A Gen X, you're 45 to 60 years old, and you were in a work environment that was an office contained, and your boss or your CEO came out with a policy stating that you cannot have cell phones on your persons anymore, and you cannot look at them. And if somebody needed to get a hold of you, they need to call the office to ask to speak with you. How would you handle that? You probably wouldn't like it. So I can understand why these entitled teenagers aren't going to like it. However, because they're entitled and bratty and have not been taught by their parents to respect their elders, or that with actions come consequences, I feel that there's going to be a lot of violence breaking out initially in these school districts because of it, because studies show that this stuff is like a heroin addiction. These kids and adults are addicted to cell phones, and coming off of it and breaking away from it is as bad as trying to get away from drug addiction. So again, I applaud it. I think it's a good thing. I think there's going to be some things that are going to have to be changed up. So what do you think? Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And with that said, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video.